My name is Paul Makowski. I'm CTO of a blockchain project called Polyswarm. What we're trying to do is fix the threat intelligence market. There's a lot of problems with malware detection today, and we think it's largely a market design problem rather than a technological problem. So today I'll be talking about using smart contracts basically as a basis for market design. So let's get started. Okay, before we get into cybersecurity, we'll take a brief look at one thing that inspired us to create this project. Myself, our CEO, read a book by Professor Alvin Roth called Who Gets What and Why. And that book describes Alvin Roth, who's an economist, his design of the kidney market, the kidney exchange market in the United States, as well as the school placement programs in both Boston and New York. So the complication in terms of getting people who need kidneys is you can't actually pay money for a kidney. So this is in a normal market, this might naturally solve itself, where you pay money and you get a product. In this particular case, you can't do that. There's an asterisk here because there's actually one country in the world, Iran, where it actually is legal to sell your kidney. Kind of interesting. You see a spray paint on the side of hospitals, people advertising their kidneys. Not great. But in the rest of the world, this is not possible, and this is a good thing, I would think. So despite that limitation, Alvin Roth went off and designed a system for matching donors with recipients. And he did this with market design, which I guess I'm a little superimposed on that right now. So here's a graph real quick of prior to his involvement in this space and afterward. The kidney exchange in the United States improved dramatically. So I'm no economist. I'm no expert in kidneys, but this was inspiring to try to apply this same sort of concept to cybersecurity. My background is in information security, and we saw a problem, and that problem was detecting malware better than is going on today. So market design works when people trust the market. A lot of times people will say that Bitcoin or other blockchains, other cryptocurrencies are trustless. Blockchain itself is not trustless. You need both a blockchain and a consensus mechanism. Obviously for Bitcoin, that consensus mechanism is their proof of work scheme. A lot of people are working on proof of stake. There's even proof of authority in the case of private blockchains, et cetera. But people need to trust the market in order to participate in it. So moving away from kidneys, another problem is the threat intelligence market today has failed to detect a lot of the latest malware threats. And you have headlines such as WannaCry was a North Korean ransomware that hit hospitals even in the United Kingdom, putting lives at risk. So we can do better, and we're using smart contracts as a basis to design a better way for security experts and security companies to work together to identify the latest threats. So we thought, hey, there's this new technology called Ethereum, and Ethereum and other ecosystems at this point provide you with the ability to literally program money. This is a really interesting, unique, new kind of concept that just didn't exist 4 years ago. So we're using this as a basis for designing a market that does not have us in the middle, decentralized and trustless. So again, smart contracts are code that handles money, and this is not something that was available 4 years ago. So this seems like a good basis for designing a new market. Okay, so let's take a look at what happens in today's antivirus market. So this Venn diagram, what I'm showing here is the black rectangle is all of the malware that's out there, and the two white or transparent circles are mostly overlapping. These circles represent antivirus companies, let's say Kaspersky and Trend Micro, for example. They mostly overlap in coverage. They optimize for, let's say, 80% solution. It's real easy to write off an antivirus company if they don't detect, again, WannaCry, right? And that seems obvious on the face of it, but behind the scenes, what that incentivizes is a lot of companies doing the same work to detect the same things. And that's duplicated cost, that's duplicated effort, and that cost is pushed down to their consumers. So in this Venn diagram, we have a lot of badness, a lot of the black, a lot of malware, and you have some mostly concentric, mostly overlapping circles for products attempting to address this threat landscape. The challenge here is there's several challenges. One is you can't actually run both, say, McAfee or Kaspersky or what have you, and another antivirus product. They're mutually incompatible. Not that you'd ever want to, but you can't actually get the sum of the two parts. You're going to have to choose one or the other, and you're not going to get both. And even if you did, it's really difficult for them to branch out and to specialize into additional malware specialties. So what we'd like to do is move from this model, which is today's market, to a model where thousands of security experts around the world can write micro engines that each cover a small portion of the threat landscape. So instead of having large vendors that cover mostly overlapping threats, we'd like to encourage security experts to offer their expertise and find their niche, find their specialty, spread out and do very well at detecting their corner of the market. So we'd like thousands of different smaller circles that better cover this Venn diagram. So Polyswarm is basically a twist on a prediction market. If you're familiar with Augur, Augur is a traditional prediction market built on the Ethereum blockchain. Augur is concerned with problems like who is going to win an election, who's going to win the World Cup. These things are universally observable after the fact. What we're trying to incentivize here is security experts basically predicting whether or not a file is malicious or benign. So what's that look like? So in the bottom left-hand corner, you have users and enterprises that pay a familiar subscription fee to what we call ambassadors. And ambassadors today are the antivirus companies, and tomorrow, with Polyswarm, perhaps additional companies that become possible in this new ecosystem. The ambassadors take files that are suspect and post them onto Polyswarm, which is going to be built on the Ethereum blockchain, is currently being built on the Ethereum blockchain. They make the public aware, and the public being a lot of security experts on the right-hand side here, aware of suspect files that they'd like their input on. And then security experts take a look and they say, hey, I think this thing is malicious, or I think this thing is benign, and here's a bit of nectar, which is the name of our token, alongside that assertion. That nectar is escrowed into a smart contract, and at a later time, the security experts who are correct get the escrowed nectar from the security experts who are incorrect. So it's a redistribution of nectar, effectively, rewarding people who are accurate in predicting whether a particular file is malware or not. And to be clear, these security experts on the right-hand side, they're not actually humans in the loop. Security experts will build what we call micro engines that plug into the Polyswarm network. And these micro engines will be queried in a crowdsourced manner, asking whether or not a particular file is malicious or benign. So we're operating in a large market that's growing rapidly. It's a $8.5 billion a year market with 18% growth rate. So there's a lot of potential here. The closest thing that we're building that's in the centralized world is something called VirusTotal. VirusTotal is a website that anyone can go to and upload a file that's scanned against 60-some different antiviruses. And their business model is basically taking those files and selling them back to the antivirus companies. So we're taking what VirusTotal does and distributing it, eliminating the man in the middle. We've got some awesome tech partners behind us. Binary Ninja is a reverse engineering framework that malware reverse engineers use in industry today to take a look and dissect what a particular ransomware or Trojan is doing. Cyber Triage is a forensics toolkit. In the case that an enterprise gets hacked, they want to see what happened, what was stolen, what was compromised. They might use Cyber Triage. We've partnered with several of the lead developers behind Cuckoo Sandbox. Cuckoo Sandbox is a dynamic malware analysis platform. It's the foremost dynamic analysis platform that's open source. So they're going to be plugging into our network early on, these lead developers. And then Rivets is the R. Rivets is another cybersecurity effort in this space. We're backed by some rather marquee names. You can take a look at these. Science is previously known for backing the likes of Dollar Shave Club, for example, Block Tower and Eden Block. And we've been talked about a lot, but we're always happy to go around and meet even more people and do these kind of events. So we're currently holding a token sale. You caught us on the last day of our token sale. The token sale ends in about 10 hours. It ends at 7 p.m. UTC, so about 8 p.m. here. So that's Polyswarm in a nutshell. I'm the CTO. I'll be around the conference. We have a booth on, I believe, the second floor. I'd love to chat with you guys afterward, and thank you for arriving for the first talk. Congratulations. You also deserve a round of applause. So, thank you.
So when is Polyswarm expected to launch on Ethereum network?
So we have contracts actually launched right now, and we're updating those contracts today. So we're running a contest right now, actually, on tokensale.polyswarm.io to encourage security experts to actually onboard. And what that contest is anyone can upload malware to us. And if it's unique malware, we reward them with free nectar. And the idea there is to actually hand nectar out to security experts that can identify these unique strands of malware and actually get them on board. So that's been running for actually about a month. And that's actually running on the Ethereum testnet Ropsten. We have smart contracts that manage that. On the back end, we're wrapping ClamAV, if you're familiar with that, to detect malware. But we're updating that, and we're releasing new contracts today where people can go to a website and upload malware and actually exercise the full end-to-end process using the nectar that we're selling in this space. We're a utility token. People are exchanging nectar for threat intelligence, and one thing that we think is really important is to have that token be usable on day one. So we're ready to go.
Awesome.
Yeah. Also, github.com/polyswarm if you want to check out the code. We have a lot of code there.
Just a quick one. Another question from the audience. The last one for now.
Hi, very interesting talk, thank you. If I was a security expert, what you're saying is I provide my talents and skills, and the more viruses I deal with, the more I get paid or rewarded, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so doesn't that mean that the vast majority of security experts will go with the most amount of viruses and then still leave a lot of malware that wouldn't reward them because there's larger threats from, let's say, several more frequent and common viruses?
That's a great question. Can we pull the slides back up real quick, actually, to the diagram that I had, if that's possible? So I mentioned several times that we're trying to encourage specialization, trying to encourage security experts to find their niche and their specialty. And the way that we're doing that is, I didn't break this down in the example before, but consider an example where there's 5 security experts that take a look at a file. 3 of those security experts say that file is benign, and 2 of them say it's malicious. And at the end of the day, it actually ends up being malicious. I'll continue my example. So 5 security experts, 3 say they're benign, 2 say they're malicious. it ends up being malicious. So the malicious side is correct. The escrowed funds from the benign side are released proportional to the people that said malicious, proportional to the amount of nectar that they put up with their bid. So in the case that 2 people are correct, they have to split the pot. In the case that only 1 person is correct, they don't have to split the pot with anybody. So what that is trying to encourage is unique insight into new strands of malware that other people aren't aware of, because you stand to profit the most when you're not splitting the pot with other people who are correct. So in terms of taking a look at common malware, if a particular strand of malware is coming through this often, your profit function is not going to be very high if a lot of people are getting it correct. You're going to have to split that pot with other people that are getting it correct. So I hope that